watch us live on Comcast Channel 26, also stream on Facebook and Nunez. Along with producer Alden Iwani, our special guest today is St. Pius boys basketball coach Ryan Myers. They started their victorious over Berlin last night. They'll face off against Valencia on Wednesday, with the winners going to play Highland for the district championship on Friday at Highland. Coach, welcome to the Valencia on Wednesday.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know, we talked about it last time, Coach. You came and I go back a long way. You know, when you played at Pius and won a state championship with as a member of the 2009 team with Coach Segura, beating Damian Segura, beating the Albuquerque Academy, which I remember that game very well. And I remember with Coach Segura, you know, Albuquerque Academy and St. Pius have a very healthy rivalry. I remember Coach Segura winning that championship. I remember him coming up the ramp. Last night against Berlin, you mentioned how the game went, and we got a little surprise for us. We'll get into that later. But tell us how you think the game went against Berlin.
Sure, I think it was a typical kind of team win that we've had this year. One of our biggest strengths is our depth, and we got good contributions from 8 or 9 guys yesterday. It was a good team win, and we gave ourselves a little momentum going into tomorrow night's game. 8 or 9 guys yesterday. It was a good team win, and
where you'll be seated.
Gave ourselves a little momentum
17 and 8. I believe you're ranked 4th last week. And it's been a tough season. You know, the district you're in, Valencia, and Berlin, and Highland, it's a very tough. And it's been a tough season. You beat Valencia earlier in the season, 58-53, then lost a close contest to them, 54-51. Valencia took Highland for double overtime. I talked to Coach Woody yesterday, and Valencia under Jesse Habu, they're a very good team. They're a very good team, and there's not an easy out really. Valencia kind of taking a step back. They lost a lot to semifinal team last year, but they'll be back. They'll be back. They're still not an easy out. Talk about the game tomorrow against Valencia. That's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a very good game. You're in, regardless if you win or lose. You're in, but you want to keep the momentum going. Talk about the game. I think it's going to be a very good game. You're in.
Definitely, I think Valencia is one of those teams that's better than their record shows. You know, they are a very, very tough opponent. Both games, both at Valencia and at Pius, were close contested. I think neither team really got more than 2 possessions ahead in both of the games, and I expect another close one tomorrow. Close contested. I think neither team really got more than 2 possessions ahead in both of the games,
including Valencia. In overtime, they beat you by 1. Earlier in the season at Highland, 51-50. You returned, including last week at St. Pius, and you'd have a tough time against Highland. You lost the district in the state semifinals. Those games were all close against Highland that you lost. You broke through last Friday. Talk to us a little bit about that game. What did it mean for the team? Highland ranks number 2. They're the defending champions. Academy number 1. So talk about what that game meant to you. It's not, the season isn't over. We can't hang our hat on one victory.
Sure.
We still got to move forward. But talk about what that victory meant to your team.
More so than the opponent, the big thing was we talk about all the time, especially in a tough district, you got to. And the previous outing against Valencia, we didn't do that. You know, we lost a home district game, which we tried not to do because, again, winning on the road in district is hard enough. And so the fact that we were able to protect our home floor, kind of make up for the loss because against Valencia and get some momentum going into the district tournament was big. We were able to protect our home floor, kind of make up for the loss because against Valencia and get some momentum going into the district tournament was big. We were able to protect our home floor.
That's a heck of a record to hang your hat on. One thing about Coach Woody, I want to post to both of you as colleagues and friends. I think you both have a lot of the similar personality about overwhelmingly macho, and you don't have to be. It's a kind of a different approach. I think one that I appreciate because back in the day, a lot of coaches I had were, and you know, it's a kind of a different. Everyone has their own style. I think it's a different breed. You know, you played, Coach Segura. You're on his staff in 2013 when they won the state championship. Damian Segura, one of the best. can argue, right? Bill Duffy won 3 championships at St. Pius. Jan Segura won 4. Those are the 2 best coaches St. Pius has ever had. I don't think there's any question about it. They're both great in their own way. Tell us what Coach Segura is an intense man. Yeah, I used to. My son, when he was on the staff there, said he would sweat through his jacket. He's an intense guy. I love the guy to death. I have a lot of respect for him. Tell us what you learned, and you've got your own staff coach. That's important to know too. What did you take from Coach Segura, his coaching experience? You're still colleagues. You stay in touch today. What did you take? That's important to know.
Sure. No, I've been very, very fortunate in my coaching development to have be in touch, mostly because of Coach Segura, but also family ties with some very incredible coaches, and that's been extremely instrumental in my development. Because of starting with Coach Dooley, Frank Dooley, Hall of Famer, Coach Segura and Coach Rivera, Coach Jim Murphy, and Coach Joe Coleman, just to name a few, are people that are very, very successful what they've done here in the States. So I've been very, very lucky to. Then obviously I spent many, many years with Coach Segura, 4 as a player, and very, very lucky to 9 as a coach. And the list of things I learned from him is too long to reiterate, but one thing that I can definitely talk about was preparation. And both as a player and then seeing it on the coaching side, we were always prepared. It didn't matter whether it was the first game of the season or the last game of the season. His preparation was second to none, and that's something that I've tried to carry on with him and my staff. Whether it was the first game of the season or the last game of the season, his preparation was second to none, and that's something that I've tried to carry on with him and my staff. Whether it was the first game.
So go right, shoot left, shoots 80% from 2 feet, 9%. It was incredible. So I think the way, and I know I've watched 80% for a long time, and I thought the way you came out against Bernalillo, you had 8 days to rest, I believe, about a week to practice. And I thought the way you came out against Bernalillo earlier in the season, when St. Pius was hitting from 3-point range, Freeze was hitting, Jason Montoya was hitting. You had your 3-point shot point, and then you attacked inside. I thought that time off gave your team a chance to prepare, and you always talked about preparation, and your team was definitely prepared that night. I thought that time off.
Definitely, especially in the first part of the season, and then with us, we have a ton of dual sport guys, so getting those guys over from football and soccer, and basically in December it's practice game, break for finals, and then the Rio Rancho tournament. So very rarely you're getting 2 or 3 days of consecutive practice. It's hard to correct your mistakes. Boys that their attention span is a little bit slim there. And speeches and a single day practice, having a week of practice is huge for us.
Speeches and a single day practice. And one player I want to ask you about, he didn't play last year. He was playing at the end of the year. They have him listed in the paper today as one of the top baseball players. He's a UNM baseball signee, and that's Gene Trujillo. They were talking about today in the paper as he's a first baseman designated hitter, and they said if they pitch to him, he's a lefty, and he'll take it opposite way, 300 feet. He's a great baseball player, but he also, I saw him play as a freshman, and he was going to be a good basketball player. That year of development probably definitely hurt. We know what he did, but he added a lot to your team this year. Strength, he can get position. His shoulders, he's massive. He's strong. Talk about what he's meant to your team this year.
Absolutely. Gene and I have kind of been on this 4-year journey together. I took over as a head coach when he was a freshman, and by the end of my first year coaching, he was our starting center. And the impact that he's had this year, when you could argue, we didn't, as soon as that season, our first season ended, COVID hit, we didn't get to do any preseason or off-season workouts. We had COVID continued to battle through the COVID regulations and not being able to have much of an off-season. Basically, he missed 3 years of basketball, and for him to have the impact he's had this year, and not being able to have an incredible athlete he is, he's We talked about all the time. He's maybe not our most talented player, but he is our most important player. Just the impact he can have on both sides of the floor. There's some games where people are looking in the score column and he'll finish with 6 points and he's frustrated. And then you check the rebound column and he had 21 rebounds. And that impact can be just as impactful as him scoring 15 points.
The thing about him, I think he's going to carve out space on the block. If he's around the basket, he's going to score. And I don't see a lot of emotion. He'll get mad a lot. And you mentioned if he's 16-year-old kids, it's tough to keep that emotions in. And I don't see him getting too upset. And I think he's a very even keel. And together with Brian Call, you go high low sometimes. You go high low, and that's been Brian Call can stretch the floor. He can come up and handle the ball, and he's a threat from 3-point land, and that opens up things inside for Gene Trujillo. Well, I just think he was such an important. You didn't get to use him last year. Things, you never know how things might have changed, and injuries are part of the game. You and I both know that. It's a horrible part to get mad and wish things were different, but I think he's brought so much to your team this year.
Absolutely, and like you said, injuries are part of the game. The frustrating part for us is, especially with this senior class now, for the past 2 seasons, we haven't been able to start our best five or ever have our best five on the floor at one time because of injuries. We lose Gene last year, and then this year we played the majority of the season without Chris Koash. So it would have been pretty special to see those guys who started together as freshmen finish the senior year all in the majority of the season without Chris Koash. So it would have been pretty special to see those guys who started together as freshmen finish the senior year all in the majority of the season.
The son of Pete Koash, and Pete Koash was a heck of an athlete himself back in the day. But Chris Koash, as a receiver, and as a basketball guard last year, was very important. Suffered an ACL injury. He's my son who does a lot of the Pius games. Like, you never know. We'll see. Because, Coach, you and I both know that's a long injury. It's a long road back. Your brother, Nick Myers, who was one of the toughest Myers there was, and you're all tough in your own way. You're all tough. That's not a knock on any one of you. But Nick Myers, he tried to come back from an ACL and did. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Tell us about Chris Koash. Game about 5 minutes. Where's he at as a season? There's not much season left, right? There's not much season left. But it has to be exciting to at least be able to see him on the floor last night and see him out there. You wouldn't put, I know you want better, pretty well. You wouldn't put him out there if you didn't think he could contribute in some way, because then you risk further injury. So tell us where he's at.
Sure. This is something that I thought was more of just youthful optimism. 3 or 4 months ago when we had tryouts and we knew the extent of his injury and the recovery time, but he's worked really, really hard in his rehabilitation. Months ago when we had tryouts, he had a lot of goals, especially physical goals he had to meet in order to have the opportunity to get on the floor. He passed those goals, and so the conversation with him, if the opportunity presented itself, we were going to try to get him some minutes. And the opportunity did not present itself last Friday in the game against Highland, but we thought towards the end of the game, as we pulled away last night, he had a chance to play. And if you didn't know any better, you say he looked pretty darn good. He moved well, and I think the hardest part of my job going forward is trying to keep him off the floor. Because every time I turn around to make a sub, he's standing up, staring me in the eye, saying, "Coach, put me in, put me in." My job going forward is trying to keep him off the floor.
And you can't blame him because we're players. I remember when I played, I used to hate sitting out. I would stare at the coach. So, he didn't tell me, "Nunez, shut up, you're not going back in, or go in." I hated sitting out, and you can't blame Chris. He's put in a lot of work to get back on the floor. I admire that. I really do. I think he's a great young man. You've got great young men on the team. Coach, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got some great pictures you sent us, and we're going to get those up and talk some more about your family and what they've meant to your coaching career after these messages on the Sports Desk. We're going to get those up and talk some
but with a steal and a bucket. Noah Perry with him on the board.
Lovato gets his second bucket. He's reared his head down and put it up for two with the left hand. 8-4, there's a bucket and one. Cruz with the bucket.
Some of them are in khakis. Here's the offense. Three-point basket by number one is good. And we are tied with 4 seconds left.
Charlie, 5 quick turnovers. I'm sure Coach Otero, there's 6 right here.
Another bucket, and that is Antalelu.
Hill in the corner. Buries a three. Andrew Hill with 17 points.
Under 50 points.
Seconds left. Back door to Stanford. Scoops and scores. Lays it in.
What a pass by Costa.
No, Storm fan want a foul. Instead, the Jags end up with the ball. Morris pulls up 3, puts it down. Back-to-back threes.
Run and be patient now. They got to speed the process.
Under his legs on the pass. What a dime from Kellen Garris to Justin Mass. That's going to be on the top 10. Under his legs.
Now again.
Can't foul here if you're Pius. Ball goes to Estrada. He'll put up 3. And it goes in at the buzzer. Damian Estrada closes the game out for Valencia. And stay tuned.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Sometimes it's the small things that make life easier, like never worrying about being declined at an ATM when only cash will do. With You're Covered from US Eagle, we'll cover you, even if the money's not there. That's a good feeling. And we do it with no extra fees or penalties. It's called trust, and we think that's important, especially if we're asking you to trust us. At US Eagle, that's just part of what it means when we say, people mean more.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
We fight the battles no one hears about.
We drop into the middle of firefights to rescue others.
And act as one-man air traffic control towers.
We're the ones who go before all others.
U.S. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of United and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our very special guest today, St. Pius boys basketball coach Brian Myers. And, you know, Coach, we talked about your team that's 17-8, and they got a tough matchup tomorrow night, as every matchup in this district is against Valencia. And, you know, you got that even keel about you. You know, we got some great pictures we're going to show here in a little bit. Your brothers, Nick, played for St. Pius. Your brother, Brennan, played for St. Pius. And, you know, we were going to mention, you know, your late father, Kip, there's some picture. There's a great picture of you there when you were coaching. I got a big kick out of your picture with Marcos Rivera, the coach at, there's your picture of your dad and your brothers. Marcos Rivera, the head coach of San Diego Prep. Now, you also coached with Coach Rivera. And Coach Rivera was a big influence on you, too. And this is a great picture of Chris Johansson. You, Damian Segura, Ron Tiber, Bill Duffy. That's a great picture. That was a classic picture, you cutting down the nets. But, you know, you lost your father last year, you know, and I just wanted to ask you, I knew your father. He was a state quarterback champion. There's a picture of you and Coach Rivera when he was your all-star coach in the North-South game. Coach, your dad, Kip, was an state championship winning quarterback at Kirtland Central. I never knew that about your dad. Your dad and I had many conversations at St. Pius. Not a braggart, would have never said that. If you hadn't told me, I never would have known. Talk to us a little bit about the influence that Kip Myers, a great man, had on you.
Sure. You know, it's cliche, but I was very fortunate to have an incredible father. He sacrificed a lot for me and my brothers. And he's been a big influence on me as far as me wanting to be competitive in sports and be a coach. He coached me in basketball at a very young age, and a lot of my decisions about my coaching career I've made based on the sacrifices he made for me. I'd say about 6 years ago, Coach Sugar and I met in the off season, and one of the conversations was if I was going to continue coaching high school basketball or try to pursue coaching in college. And part of the decision I made to not go to college was the amount of time my dad made available for me and my brothers. You know, as soon as we got off after school, he picked us up. We were at the gym before practice, after practice. He was always available to help us improve. And that was something that, you know, I look forward to doing for my kids.
Your mother with Lori, we don't want to leave her out. You also mentioned Joe Coleman, who's a cousin of yours, and Coach Coleman, another positive influence on you, a three-time state champion winner, three-sport athlete, an incredible athlete. He always tries to play it down. The guy was on the UNM all-decade baseball team. The guy's an incredible athlete and a better person. But your mother, Lori, won 3 state championships at Kirtland Central. And I always say that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, Nick is more intense like your mom. You're more like your dad, and Brennan is a combination of both. You know, and that's great. Great, you come from great people. Talk about your mother's influence, because I can only imagine how she was as a player. I can only imagine. She's intense. Yeah. She's intense, and part of 3 state championships. That you come from champions. You come on both sides of the family. Talk a little bit about your mom, and your mom is a wonderful lady. You mentioned she's in Arizona now with your brother Nick. He and his wife are expecting their first child. Congratulations. I always love Nicky, man. Nick, I love Nick. I always love to see Nick. So congratulations to them. But talk about your mother's influence still here today.
Sure. Like you said, we were spoiled. We grew up with 2 state champion parents, and we kind of grew up with that expectation that that's just how it was. And when at a young age, you didn't realize the work that they had to put in. And my mom played with some pretty incredible players at Kirtland Central, and her role was the defensive side. And like you said, with that intensity. So when we were working on the offensive skills with our dad, she always made sure to remind us that there's 2 sides. There's one side of the court you're playing offense, the other side you're playing defense. Make sure we were above average on both sides of the floor.
Think about that. You got both from both sides, and your mother is an intense person. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't. I could see that, because when you win championships, and you've been part of the championship as a player and as a coach, you've seen it. as an assistant coach, you've won rings. You've seen that. You've seen the success that Pius has had, and what a staff you guys, St. Pius had there. You really did. Yourself, Coach Rivera, Coach Segura. My son was on the staff. Mike, I can't remember his last name.
Rosales.
Mike Rosales. You got a staff right now. Peter Koash is your statistician. Derek Rivera, Micah Sanchez, Aaron Lujan is part of your staff now. Talk a little bit. Micah Sanchez, a former St. Pius player. Aaron Lujan, a former St. Pius player. I think Coach Rivera was as well. Talk a little bit about your staff right now and how you built that staff.
Sure. One thing that was important to me when trying to fill out the staff was, one, finding guys that were dedicated, because we put in a lot of hours. Like I said, I came from the Segura coaching tree and saw how hard that he and Coach Rivera worked, and I wanted us to continue with that pattern. And so one of the things when you're looking for guys that are going to commit is it was important for me to get alumni. My entire staff is a St. Pius alum. They also, all of us played for Coach Segura and Coach Rivera. And so they know how to win. They know how to do things, the right way. And a lot of the vocabulary is the same. The expectations certainly are the same. The discipline's the same. And so we didn't have to start from ground zero. When I brought all those guys in, we were able to start, 4 or 5 steps ahead because we are all new and brought up in that culture.
How's the things going to change? St. Pius is going to have an 8th grade next year. And I went to parochial school for 9 years. And it's going to change things. There used to be, when I was in parochial league, Ron Beach played in parochial league. Man, we had some tough players. Mike Higgins played at Holy Ghost with me, and he played on the St. Pius 1980 championship team. There was just some really tough teams back then. How will that change things competitively for St. Pius having that 8th grade team?
Sure. I think it's important. We kind of take it for granted, but back when me and your son were at school, we had 1,100, 1,200 kids, and Pius was competing for state championships in every sport. And now we're down to 400, 450. And so I think adding the 8th grade will definitely allow all the sports at St. Pius and all the extracurricular activities, and just give you a bigger student body to pull from. And I think it's going to be great for the school.
It's funny because today Steve Davis had Curtis Flakes on, the new St. Pius football coach. Congratulations to him. So unbeknownst to me, we're doing a double header here. We had Coach Flakes on, and now we've got you. Coach, we got about 2 minutes here left in this show, and I can't tell you again how proud I am of you and of your program. You've got there's a journey still. No matter what happens tomorrow night, you're in, but of course you want to keep the momentum going. What does the St. Pius Sergeants have to do to finish and bring home that and have some? You went to the semifinals last year. There's very good teams in this class. Highland, Valencia, Albuquerque Academy is loaded. They've got a very good team. They've got guys. It's a hard team to guard. What does St. Pius have to do to bring home that blue trophy?
Definitely. It's always a goal for everyone at the beginning of the year. And we talked about, we haven't put a number on the wall since 2015. And so between the district tournament this week and then the state tournament starting the following week, we got to play to our strengths, play inside out, play through Brian Kalb and Gene Trujillo, and continue to dominate on the rebounds and dominate the boards. That's been our saving grace this year. I think we've out-rebounded every team we've played this year with the exception of Volcano Vista and Rio Rancho, and there's no shame in that whatsoever, two of the better programs in 5A. And so we've got to continue to play through our strengths and continue this winning momentum.
Volcano Vista with Alter and Aquino, they're not going to be out. Alter, Aquino's the fast kid on the block. He'll get it and spin and move. Alter's just power, and between them, that's a tough team to stop. So of course, there's no shame in not out rebounding them. Coach, tomorrow night against Valencia, we wish you all the luck in the world. Good luck to the St. Pius. Oh, by the way, congratulations to your wife, you and Amanda, expecting your first child. When does the baby due?
July 10th, and it's a special due date because it's 2 days after my dad's birthday. So we're looking forward to that.
So we congratulate you, and Coach, we wish you the best. Thanks so much for joining us today on the Sports Desk.
Sure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do for all the high school athletes here.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.